Traveling is a popular way to spend a vacation. After all, who doesn't love seeing new places and beautiful scenery? However, not all sites are worthy enough to visit your time. Today, we'll bring you the 10 abandoned cities you should never visit. Let's begin. Number 10. Island of the Dolls, Mexico. A trip to an island sounds excellent, especially if it's on the coast of Mexico, but not so much if its inhabitants are all dolls. Yes, you heard that right. La Isla de las Muñecas, as it's said in Spanish, is located in the south of Mexico City. The city is highly populated, but the island remains deserted, or should we say deserted by humans. That is because you can still find the ancient dolls that hang off from the trees there. Many are unclothed, and the legend has it that they are possessed by the spirits of a girl who drowned there. Some even claim that the eyes of the dolls move. But are you wondering, how did the dolls get a place on the trees? Well, they were hung by a man on the island who claimed to be its caretaker. It's interesting to note that no one except the caretaker saw the drowned girl. Even his family believed he was not in the right state of mind. Nonetheless, the man devoted 50 years of his life to hanging the dolls. Sadly, he passed away in 2001. And guess what? He drowned in the same canal where he claimed to have seen the dead body of the little girl. If that isn't creepy to you, then we don't know what to say, so stay clear of this island if you ever decide to visit Mexico. Number 9. St. Elmo. On number 9, we have St. Elmo, which was once referred to as the Forest City. It was once a famous mining town in Colorado that has housed about 2,000 individuals, but in the early 1920s, the mining industry saw a decline, and people no longer found living there worthwhile. That is why slowly the residents, which were primarily miners, packed up and left. Eventually the business district also closed, and even the postal service was discontinued. However, the town is not entirely abandoned. Some people still reside there, but it is reported that the place is haunted. You'd be surprised to know that it is described as the most paranormal town in the state. Many people who tried to work on hotel projects in the city claim their tools were always scattered around the floor, even when they padlocked them in the cupboards. So maybe you'd be interested in going there as an investigator, but it's not a good place to live at. I mean, we wouldn't want to have ghosts as neighbors, or maybe we would if they were friendly and kept the noises down. Despite that, it's best not to visit St. Elmo unless you want to get yourself possessed. Number 8. Kennecott. Making its way to position 8 is Kennecott. Located in Alaska, this city was once home to copper ores worth millions of dollars. When the copper discovery was made, the workers built a mine and a proper system for tracking the ores. However, during the construction, many people lost their lives. Then, once the mine started operating, many miners also lost their lives. This is when the paranormal activities began in the city. Many claim that they used to hear the cries of the dead individuals. Some even reported that their tools used to disappear mysteriously. Another thing that made the town creepier was the vanishing of tombstones. The tourists used to claim seeing monuments entering the city, but on the way back, there were no signs of any of them. Because of these events, Kennecott got a reputation of being haunted, and residents were spooked. By 1938, the city was abruptly abandoned by citizens. They even left their possessions behind. Soon after, the mine was shut down too, and some buildings still have their outdated equipment. It's a shame that this place has such a sad history. Number 7. Craco, Italy. On our 7th spot, we have Craco, which was founded in the 8th century. However, it now remains a ghost town due to a series of natural disasters. The first of them occurred in 1963 and affected some areas of the city badly. After all, being built on a cliff is not exactly an excellent geographical spot. Then in 1971, to make things worse, a flood hit the town, which shocked many people. The final nail in the coffin came in 1980 in the form of an earthquake. After this, the city was deemed uninhabitable and was abandoned. Now the only people you may find from time to time will be film crews. In fact, you may have seen Craco already, just not in person. Some scenes of the James Bond movie Quantum of Solace were shot at this location. Though to be honest, we wouldn't want to visit the city. After all, seeing wrecked buildings are not what we call sightseeing. Besides that, Craco is not open to the public because of safety concerns. You can get a guide to visit the town partially, but do you really want to pay money to see rubbles and damaged buildings? We sure wouldn't want to. Number 6. Plymouth Montserrat. The 6th position on our list is Plymouth Montserrat. Plymouth was once the capital of Montserrat in the Caribbean. Some even refer to it as the Pompeii of the Caribbean. Are you wondering why it was termed that? Well, in 1996, a volcano erupted, resulting in a citywide evacuation. After a few months, few residents made a comeback, but were welcomed by another eruption. This time around, the airport of the city was wrecked, and many were trapped. Besides that, 19 of the residents lost their lives as well, so once again, Plymouth was evacuated to keep the residents safe. Since then, no one has dared enter the city. And why would they? About 80% of the town is covered in ash, and everything is destroyed. If you look at pictures of Plymouth, you'll see that the houses are buried under ash with barely visible roofs. It is scary and sad that people had to abandon their homes and memories, but that is better than living in a city that's a ticking time bomb. So if you want to go against our advice and visit the city, do it at your own risk. Number 5. Colemans Cop Namibia. Finding its way to the halfway mark, we have Colemans Cop as our 5th abandoned city. In the early 20th century, after the discovery of the first diamond in the area, many people moved there. They hoped to find, yes, you guessed it, diamonds. The city was then developed and became lively. There was a movie theater, a casino, and even a school, but by 1928, the town's fate suffered a tragedy when diamonds were found on the beach terraces of the south. So many residents moved out to explore the new supply areas, and by the 1930s, the town entirely lost its charm when the diamond supply was exhausted. The few remaining people also moved to other places in search of valuable ores and diamonds. Since then, the city has been completely deserted, and the buildings that remain are loaded with sand. And by loaded, we mean they've been flooded by piles of sand. If you decide to enter a house there, your knees will be entirely under the sand. That is the reason why reviving this town is not a possibility. It will not be long until the city completely vanishes and becomes a desert. Number 4. Bodhi, California. Moving on to our 4th position, we have Bodhi, California's most famous ghost town. There was a time this town was recognized for its gold mining operations. However, now the only time you hear its name is when someone decides to tell a ghost story. It is reported that whoever takes an item from Bodhi will be cursed with bad luck until they return it to its rightful place. Many people have even sent back items with letters claiming to be condemned. The letters are up for display in the town's museum as a warning. Along with the curse, many properties of the place are also said to be haunted. The John Kane residence, one of Bodhi's largest houses, is included amongst them. Visitors claim that when passing by this house, a ghost woman stares at you. Even the Gregory house is supposedly haunted. People say that you can see a ghost of an old female working on a knitting project at this residence. It's terrifying that there are countless properties in Bodhi where paranormal incidents have taken place. We would definitely steer clear of this town. Number 3. Priyapat, Ukraine. And on our 3rd spot, we have Priyapat, Ukraine. It's one of the most famous abandoned cities on the list. Priyapat had a population of about 49,000 people until 1986, when the Chernobyl calamity took place. Following the disaster, the residents were evacuated from the city because they were the most affected. They were told to take minimum essentials, and within 36 hours, the city's population became 0. After all, Priyapat was the closest city to the power plant. That is why it was exposed to a higher amount of radioactive substances. Sadly, a once beautiful city which bustled with sound went quiet in several hours, and will remain untouched for at least the coming 24,000 years. Many people refer to it as a museum due to the abandoned parks and buildings. In fact, for the past few years, some organizations have been working on getting the UNESCO World Heritage status for the exclusion zone. Number 2. Varusha Cyprus. In the 2nd place, we have Varusha, located in the city of Famagusta in Cyprus. It was one of the most popular tourist attractions in the early 70s. That remained until the invasion of Turkey in 1974. As a result, residents fled the city to be safe from any harm. Some even say that they left while their food was cooking on the stove. It's pretty sad that these people had to leave their homes and were never able to return. Since 1974, Varusha has been abandoned and under the control of Turkish militants. The whole area has been fenced off to keep citizens away, and if you try to break in, the army has strict orders to shoot you. That is why it's best to keep away from this city when visiting Cyprus. If you try to enter it, you will definitely face a bad outcome, which is such a shame because the area is well known for its beauty. Number 1. North Brother Island, New York. And on our number 1 spot, we have the North Brother Island. It is a 20-acre island that is located on the East River of New York City. The island once housed the famous Riverside Hospital, which was constructed to quarantine people diagnosed with infectious diseases. Geographically, the island was very isolated and away from the local population. That is why it was deemed the best place to contain the sick. Even Typhoid Mary spent many years of her life on this island. She was a cook that worked with many families and was an asymptomatic carrier of the disease typhoid. Not only did she infect 53 people, but 3 of them died after contracting the germ, which is why she was forced to live at this place. By 1943, the hospital was also used for quarantining tuberculosis patients. However, by the 60s, the place declined and was shut down. Now the island remains abandoned and off limits to the public. It is illegal to visit the place unless you've got a permit from the New York City Department of Parks and Recreation, as they manage this location as a bird sanctuary.